Ever picked up a fountain pen and wondered, why does this feel so different from a ballpoint? Or maybe you've tried using one and ended up with ink smudges, scratchy lines, or a nib that just wouldn't flow. Fountain pens aren't just vintage novelties. They're tools that combine elegance, efficiency, and a unique connection between hand and page. Welcome to HowExpert Tip of the Day, where we bring you real-world tips from our how-to guides on all topics from A to Z. If you want to learn even more in-depth strategies, examples, and techniques on this topic, check out HowExpert Guide to 365 plus fountain pen tips, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. Fountain pens are writing instruments that use liquid ink delivered through a metal nib, often offering smoother, more fluid writing compared to disposable pens. While they've been around for over a century, they've seen a resurgence among writers, artists, and everyday note-takers who want to enjoy the process of handwriting, not just get it over with. In today's video, we're diving into what fountain pens are all about, how they work, why people love them, and how you can get the most out of one, even if you're a total beginner. Let's start with the basics. What actually makes a fountain pen different? Unlike ballpoints or gel pens, fountain pens don't rely on pressure to release ink. Instead, they use gravity and capillary action to deliver ink from a refillable reservoir or cartridge through the nib and onto the page. This means you can write with a lighter touch, ideal for longer writing sessions, smoother strokes, and even less hand fatigue. Once you get used to it, most other pens feel like dragging a stick through mud. Now let's talk about nib types, because they really do change everything. Fountain pen nibs come in various sizes and shapes: extra fine, fine, medium, broad, stub, flex, and more. The size and shape determine how thick your lines are, how much ink flows, and how much line variation you get. A fine nib gives you precision, great for note-taking or small handwriting, while a stub or flex nib adds artistic flair, perfect for calligraphy or creative journaling. If you've ever admired fancy handwritten notes on Instagram, chances are a specialized nib made that possible. Another big factor that sets fountain pens apart is ink, and there's a whole colorful world to explore. You're not limited to black or blue. Fountain pen inks come in a rainbow of colors, including shimmer inks with sparkle, permanent waterproof inks, and even scented varieties. Ink behaves differently depending on the brand, paper, and nib size. Some flow wetter, some dry faster, some shade beautifully between light and dark tones. Once you find your favorite ink, it feels like discovering your voice, but in liquid form. But here's the catch. Fountain pens need the right paper to shine. Not all paper is created equal. Cheap printer paper might feather, bleed, or soak up ink too fast. For the best experience, use fountain pen-friendly paper like Tomoe River, Rhodia, or Clairefontaine. These papers are smoother and more ink-resistant, letting the pen glide effortlessly and the ink show its full character. If your fountain pen seems scratchy or messy, don't blame the pen just yet. It might be the paper. Now let's clear up one of the biggest myths. Fountain pens are not high maintenance. Yes, they do require a little care, but it's simple. Rinse the nib with water every few weeks, especially when changing inks. Keep the cap on when not in use. Don't press down hard. They're built for finesse. That's it. With a few habits, your pen will write like new for years. In fact, many fountain pens are passed down through generations. Try doing that with a disposable pen. Another question people ask is, are fountain pens actually better for handwriting? The answer, in many cases, yes, because fountain pens encourage slower, more deliberate writing. Your handwriting often becomes neater and more consistent. You're also less likely to grip the pen too tightly or write with unnecessary tension. Whether you're journaling, studying, or writing a letter, it becomes a more mindful experience, not just another task. Let's take a moment to talk about refilling methods, because this is where people get confused. You can refill a fountain pen in one of three main ways: cartridges, converters, or piston fillers. Cartridges are the easiest. Just pop them in and go. Converters let you use bottled ink, which opens up way more color options and is better for the environment. Piston fillers are built-in systems that draw ink directly into the barrel, ideal for heavy writers who want capacity and style. Once you refill a pen from a bottle for the first time, it's surprisingly satisfying, like dipping into a personal inkwell. To bring this to life, imagine this scene. You're at a coffee shop. Instead of pulling out a scratched-up plastic pen, you uncap a sleek fountain pen. It glides across your journal as the ink shades from navy blue to deep purple. People glance over. A stranger asks what pen you're using. It's not just writing. It's a moment, a vibe. That's the magic of fountain pens. So let's recap the key points. Fountain pens use capillary action and gravity to deliver ink, offering a smoother, more effortless writing experience. Nib types dramatically change your style and line variation. Inks are customizable and expressive, and the right paper makes all the difference. They're not hard to maintain, just different from what you're used to, and most importantly, they help reconnect you with the joy of writing in a world dominated by screens and speed. When you understand these core aspects of fountain pens, you're no longer just writing. You're creating a ritual, a tactile, mindful, expressive act that turns everyday words into something personal and permanent. Writing isn't just a task, it's an experience, and with the right pen, it can even be a joy. For even more tips, techniques, and practical examples on this topic, check out HowExpert Guide to 365 plus fountain pen tips, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. HowExpert publishes how-to guides on all topics from A to Z. Visit howexpert.com to learn more.